Hi everyone. Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Settle in, because all the whispers, hints, and clues are tucked into tonight's story. If you enjoy following every heartbeat of our favorite stars, don't forget to subscribe and share. Now, let's begin. Just before the clock kissed midnight, the quiet lane where Barış stood, still carrying the residue of a long, emotional day on set, shifted from calm to electric. A single engine rolled through the silence, and the tabloids lurking in parked cars tuned their lenses as if by instinct. They had sworn nothing would happen tonight. Then a figure slipped from the shadows. Hood up, head down, unmistakably graceful. Elçin Sangu moved with the brisk purpose of someone trying not to be recognized and not entirely succeeding. In her hand, barely visible beneath the sleeve of her jacket, a small package rested, wrapped simply but with care. If mystery had a weight, she held it lightly. She paused just long enough at the door to make everyone wonder what she was thinking, then buzzed. Moments later, the entrance opened, and there he was, meeting her with the kind of measured, warm composure that has followed him for years. For a heartbeat, they shared a quiet exchange that reporters strained to decipher by lip-reading silence. A step, a second step, and they were inside, leaving flashes and murmurs behind them. It was swift, but not so swift that the cameras missed it. The night had a story now, and every minute was feeding it. Speculation bloomed instantly. Some whispered that the pair had been circling a joint venture for months, and this was the final, private checkpoint before everything became official. Others tried to play it down, old friends sharing a moment away from the clamor. But even the skeptics admitted the hour made it impossible to ignore. Midnight rendezvous have a way of echoing long after the street goes quiet. Roughly an hour later, something in the building told a tale of its own. Lights brightened and softened as if punctuating a spirited conversation. Every so often, warm laughter slipped into the stairwell, and those waiting outside traded looks that said, "You heard that too, right?" Whatever the topic, it had more life than a casual hello and goodbye. When the door finally opened again, Elçin left with the same quick elegance she'd arrived with. The hood was still up, but the smile was not hidden, it was unmistakable, directed at the cluster of reporters as though she had decided to feed them a breadcrumb while guarding the loaf. "Tomorrow will make it clearer," she said with playful calm. "Be patient." Then she slid into the car and disappeared into the night, leaving a promise drifting in her wake like perfume. By the time daybreak loosened the grip of night, social media had done what it does best, turned the city's insomnia into a chorus of theories. Was a fresh season on the horizon? Had they agreed on an unexpected reunion? Could there be a film in the works, or a campaign, or something that blended reality and performance in a way only they could pull off? Everyone had a version, no one had certainty. But one sentiment swelled above the noise. Whatever happened at that door, it would not fade quietly. Sunrise found the press station outside Barış's building, coffee in hand and questions rehearsed. He stepped out with that composed ease that makes people lean in rather than step back. The questions arrived in a rush. Was last night about a new project? Is this a surprise collaboration? And he let them wash over him before offering a single, telling answer, "You won't have to wait long." It wasn't a confession, but it wasn't a denial either, and that careful ambiguity spread faster than any definitive statement could have. Across town, Elçin was spotted heading into a studio, her red hair tucked away beneath a cap, her demeanor bright and focused. She paused just long enough to meet the gaze of the cameras. When asked why she'd visited so late, she kept the spirit of the night alive. "We're stepping into a season full of surprises," she said, voice light yet measured. "Everything will become clear very soon." Not an explanation, but a promise. And promises from her carry weight in this town. By midday, talk shows had fully adopted the story, spinning it like a jewel under bright lights. Commentators noted that both stars had been in negotiation with the same production company recently, raising the likelihood that the midnight meeting had less to do with romance and more to do with strategy. Still, another camp insisted that the late hour meant stakes. "Big decisions are made when the city sleeps," they said. Maybe a series that no one saw coming. Maybe a feature film that would capitalize on their unmatched chemistry. Maybe both. Online, fans split into familiar teams. One side mapped out timelines and clung to whispers about casting calls, convinced that a new series was already in pre-production. The other leaned into nostalgia, remembering their past collaboration with the kind of fondness that borders on devotion, arguing that long-term rapport often requires these unannounced, carefully guarded talks. Old clips resurfaced, and with them the energy of a partnership that changed how people watch a scene, waiting for a glance or a smile to say more than dialogue could. The lack of hard facts only deepened the intrigue. No official press release. No poster. No leaked script pages. Yet the certainty among insiders that something was in motion felt strong, like air before rain. One truth rose through the chatter, that Doorstep at midnight would keep feeding headlines for days. Then, as afternoon thinned into evening, new fuel hit the fire. Barry's agency issued a crisp statement, as brief as it was explosive. The two were collaborating on an important project, to be announced soon, with details to come in due time. It offered no title, no date, no genre. Just enough to confirm every intuition and still leave everyone hungry. Within minutes, the wording itself trended, dissected for clues like a cryptic poem. From those close to Elçin came word that she had already begun role preparations, dialect practice, wardrobe discussions, the kind of meticulous research that turns a part into a person. Rumors from Barry's camp sounded strikingly similar. Private script sessions, a revised training schedule, calendar blocks that aligned suspiciously well with a yet unnamed shoot. The coordination felt deliberate, and the city's rumor mill, always efficient, spun faster. As night approached, they surfaced again, but separately. Barry's emerged from a quiet cafe, offering a steady smile to the cluster of cameras that had learned to wait precisely where he prefers to be left alone. "Everything's fine," he said gently. "A good process is ahead." Not theatrical, not evasive, just calm, the way one speaks when the hard work is already underway. Later, outside a studio's side entrance, Elçin paused long enough to deliver a matching note: "Preparations are ongoing. Give us a little time." If they were reading from a script, it was one they wrote together, line by careful line. Television panels kept the anticipation high into prime time. Analysts traded ideas about what the pair might be building. Some swore it had to be a cinematic comeback, beautifully shot and internationally aimed. Others pushed for a series that would stretch over months, letting their dynamic unfold in a way only long-form storytelling can provide. The bravest speculated on hybrid plans, a prestige series that would lead into a film, or a film accompanied by an intimate behind-the-scenes special meant to break the internet. The absence of a concrete announcement from the production company only widened the playground for theories. Genre guesses took on a life of their own. Could they be stepping into a taut procedural with a beating heart at its center? A layered drama with a secret at its core? Or perhaps something that bends categories altogether, a story that lives between tension and tenderness, where their natural rhythm could live and breathe? Late into the night, the virtual world pulsed. "They're back," wrote one user. "The midnight visit was the signal," wrote another. "This is bigger than we think," added a third. Old stills, new edits, imagined posters, fan artists worked like a second production team, conjuring possibilities faster than any official campaign ever could. A single hashtag became the drumbeat of the day, ricocheting between timelines, collecting momentum with every share. Through it all, that hour behind a closed door kept its secrets. What was in the small package? A script with fresh ink? A symbolic gift tied to a shared past? A prop, a promise, a keepsake? The beauty of the question was that nobody could answer it, and yet everyone felt like they knew. The chemistry that once redefined an on-screen pairing hadn't vanished, it had matured, quiet and potent, ready to be aimed at something new. By the time the city exhaled, one conclusion had settled like a soft verdict. Whether driven by story, by timing, by a mutual understanding of what their names ignite when placed side by side, Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu had stepped across an invisible line. The late-night meeting wasn't a random moment, it was a threshold. The industry felt it. The fans felt it. And those who pretend not to feel it still refreshed their feeds for updates. So we wait days, perhaps, not weeks, until the official reveal lifts the curtain. Until then, the energy doesn't waver, it hums. Because sometimes the biggest announcements begin not with fireworks, but with a quiet knock at a familiar door, a shared laugh that slips into the hallway, and two voices choosing to say just enough to keep the city awake. That's our story for tonight from Whispers of Turkish Stars. If it kept you company, make sure you subscribe and share so you don't miss the next unraveling. Until the big reveal, good night.